I am student meteorologist Spencer Blum reporting live from the FSU weather building here in Tallahassee with our first Monday show of the semester. So right now you can see we're taking a live look at Doak Campbell Stadium, a gorgeous sunset with some beautiful temperatures around 57 degrees with sunny conditions, or sunsetty conditions I should say, with a wind out of the north at about 5 miles an hour. And here we can see just a little bit of ground clutter. This might just be some birds or smoke or just something setting off the radar beam, not really any precipitation. And for tonight in Tallahassee, we can expect some much cooler temperatures, around 36 degrees and partly cloudy conditions. And with a wind out of the south-southwest at 5 miles an hour. And for tomorrow, we do have some thunderstorms coming in, which we will be talking a bit more about, with some thunderstorms around 66 degrees. And for today's headlines, we can see we have some winter weather across much of the country, some severe weather possibly in our area the rest of this week, and some weather history from around the country. We're going to be passing things off to Nico at the table for the start of our show.
Severe weather system pushed through the area on Wednesday. That's going to be the main highlight of the week. We're going to have to pay attention to the weather while you might be out and about going to classes on Wednesday, because we could have a strong line of storms with damaging winds and possibly isolated tornadoes pushed through on Wednesday. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on as we go through the middle of the week. But we also have some winter weather going through the northern and northeastern U.S. to talk about this week, and we're going to talk about all of that and more on tonight's show. But now I'm going to pass things off to the wall.
Thank you, Nico. We are going to take a look at some things happening in Tallahassee this week. So we're still getting those really late sunsets. It has been a beautiful but cold day from that cold front that passed by. It is 57 degrees and sunny in Tallahassee right over Doak Campbell Stadium. Beautiful sunset. So today, it's been a pretty cool day. As I said, we're still getting the remnants of that cold front that passed by. It's 55 degrees. Similar temperatures all around the area today. And we are getting some cool, dry air from the continental U.S. pushing down through Tallahassee. The wind is at 5 miles an hour. We're seeing similar in other parts of Florida, but it is calm up in the north. So for today's temperatures compared to the average, we're seeing pretty similar temperatures today compared to the average, but way, way, way cooler than it was back in 1927 at 80 degrees and a lot warmer than it was in 2011 at 20 degrees. So hour by hour, you guys experienced it. It got pretty high up to about 60 degrees, but it's going to start cooling down later tonight. If you take a look at the satellite, there's not much going on. Just skipped right through that. We're seeing that much actual activity. But in the future radars, we are seeing a little bit of storms coming through, a little bit of thunderstorms, a little bit of precipitation, which we will be experiencing tomorrow and more so on Wednesday. So tonight's forecast, these little black dots in the sky, they are not just holes in the temperature, but they are clear skies. It is a perfect day if you want to stargaze. It's going to be a little cooler tonight at 38 degrees. And similar in other areas, down in St. Mark's, it's 41. Down in Carabel, it's 43, and same in Apalachicola. To plan your day, it has been pretty drastically different, about 23 degrees difference from this morning to this afternoon. Tomorrow, we are seeing warmer weather a little bit at 67 degrees and similar in the rest of the area. It's going to be sunny tomorrow for the most part of the day, but it will continue to drop as the week progresses. So tomorrow we're going to see another beautiful day, almost 70 degrees. It's going to be pretty nice if you are going to walk to class, but I'm going to pass it off to Caitlin for a broader view of Florida.
Thank you so much, Isabel. Yeah, the Sunshine State has really earned its name today. I think it's been really clear skies amongst most of Florida, except for a couple of our friends in Miami. They're experiencing a couple scattered showers as that frontal system moves out of their way. But sunshine is in the forecast for tonight, and that is going to change as we're going to talk about later in the show, as we do have some severe weather entering our forecast for most parts of the southeast and really here in our areas in Tallahassee. Current temperatures in Florida, it's really very mild up here where we're at in North Florida. We're sitting at 57 in the mid 50s, and you're warmer as you go down south. That's typically what's going on. They're sitting in the sunny and 75. They've had a great day, a wonderful start to their Monday and their week ahead. Dew points, though, typical idea. We've got some dry conditions here, not really helping with our drought that we've been experiencing, but dry conditions here on the north side of Florida, but on the south side, you're also muggier like you typically be, your typical mugginess that's experienced down there. Though, I would say it's milder than it usually is. Like if you had a muggy meter, it wouldn't be as frowny as it typically is. There's those showers that we were talking about down in South Florida. Those are moving out of the way. Nothing to ruin your Monday night plans. I don't know if you've got big study plans if you go to University of Miami. Boo. Anyways, we've got clear skies for most of the Florida other than that, and those showers are moving out. So sunny for Miami the next couple of days. Though on Thursday, the severe weather that's coming our way tomorrow will be reaching you guys. So do think about that as you make your Thursday plans and maybe your weekend plans in Miami. And in Tampa, for you, our friends in Tampa, it's going to be some cloudier skies. Lots and lots of sunshine, though, and you're going to be almost hitting 80 degrees on Wednesday. It's going to feel warm. That front's going to move through, though, and it's going to be nice, and you're going to have a little bit of a cool down, which is something to look forward to. My friends in Orlando, where my brother lives, he is going to be 85 degrees. It's going to be warm there. So sad for them. But their temperatures are going to hopefully drop a little bit, too, on Thursday when that front moves through, and they're going to be feeling more on average for their area, and that's going to be really nice for them. And then for Jacksonville as well, they're going to be experiencing showers Tuesday and Wednesday like we're going to be experiencing tomorrow and Wednesday. So that's something to think about as they make their plans in the middle of the week. Something to keep making sure that we're weather aware because those storms are going to be kind of strong, and something to keep an eye out as they're making their plans. In Pensacola, my hometown, you guys are looking at some nice conditions, very mild, sitting in the mid 60s and the low 50s for your Thursday next. So it's going to feel a little bit more like January. Your rainfall forecast, so like we've been talking about, that rain is coming on Wednesday and Thursday. Is going to be increasing what we've been experiencing the past couple of days. We've had a little bit more dry conditions yet today and yesterday, but that rainfall totals are going to increase for your Thursday, something to think about if you're getting rain gear walking to class or anything like that. It's going to be chilly tonight here for our friends in North Florida, sitting at 36, kind of cusping that freezing temperature. Nothing to worry about keeping your plants out, but definitely do think about that as you're making your plants. It's going to be a little chilly tonight. You might want to grab a jacket. And in South Florida, you guys are always warm like you typically are, so it's going to be 70 in Miami tonight. That's absolutely crazy, but you guys can enjoy that. And then for your forecast tomorrow, mild temperatures across the Sunshine State, but rain is expected. Nico, what are you going to talk about?
Yeah, so taking a step back and looking at the Southeast as a whole, very similar conditions to Florida today. Most of the country most of the Southeast looked very nice, with the coolest temperatures being in Atlanta at 43 and the warmest temperatures being in Miami at 75. So for the time being, today the Southeast had very, very nice conditions, a little bit chillier than what we were seeing last week, but these conditions will change in the middle of the week as the storm system approaches. So for now, the wind speeds are coming from the north. In Tupelo is relatively calm, but for the rest of the Southeast, it's hovering around 8 to 6 miles per hour. Our current radar shows, just like the temperature showing, there was like no activity of rain whatsoever, only some scattered showers down here in South Florida around Miami. But for the rest of the Southeast, they had an absolutely magnificent day, clear skies for most of the afternoon and morning. Now, our water vapor imagery shows that there's a large swath of dry air all throughout the Sun Belt, reaching from North Carolina all the way west to Texas, keeping these dew point temperatures very low. This dry air came in with that last cold front that came in over this weekend. As you can see here, dew point temperatures very low, 27 in Nashville, in the low 30s for most of the Southeast. Only in Miami is it still relatively muggy with a dew point of 62. So you will be seeing these dry conditions for the next week in terms of dew point. Now, there is a storm system developing over the west right now. Over here in Texas, the Storm Prediction Center has put a non-severe outlook because the conditions won't be too favorable for some severe weather for now. But as it makes its way east towards the Gulf states, over in Houston, in New Orleans, and the Jackson area of Mississippi and Alabama, they are at an enhanced and slight risk of severe weather. There is possible tornadoes in this region, so on Wednesday, please keep a lookout for severe weather now that this system will be making its way through. Now, over here in Tallahassee, there is only a marginal risk for severe weather. The worst of it is going to be over Alabama and Mississippi the day before, but please keep an eye out. There is still the possibility of tornadoes and lots of rain. So as you see here, the storm system is going to start all the way west and bring in severe weather from Jackson all the way up to Charleston, and especially here in South Florida as well, Tallahassee and Jacksonville, bringing lots and lots of rain and lots of damaging straight line winds. The 72-hour rainfall forecast, most of that rain is going to be concentrated over Louisiana and Mississippi. New Orleans, Jackson regions are the areas to keep the most watch out for. Now, for a look at Atlanta, tomorrow it's going to be relatively nice, still cool temperatures, 55 degrees is the high. Wednesday is the day that all that rain is going to come on and is going to be raining most of the day with severe thunderstorms. Then Thursday, it should clear out again and still keep those relatively cool temperatures. As for tonight's forecast, it's going to be a relatively nice night, pretty cool for most of the southeast, hanging around mostly in the 30s, and here in South Florida a little bit warmer in the 70s. And for tomorrow's forecast, still going to be a little bit warmer with temperatures hovering in the 60s, and in South Florida warmer in the 70s. And here, as you can see, the future forecast, as that system approaches, some warm air from the Gulf will be advected, bringing warmer temperatures. But once that storm system comes around, the temperatures will go back down. So how's the sports system, Nico?
Thank you, Nicholas. Yeah, so we are going to have an interesting Wednesday to be looking out for, but right now I'm going to talk about some sporting events that FSU is going to be participating in this week. But first, we've got our live look at the Sportsplex. If you're out tonight, there's no severe weather to worry about. It's going to be chilly, but it's going to be a really nice night to be out and about if you're playing sports right now. But we do have a big men's basketball game tomorrow. We're playing Miami, which is a big rival of ours. If you're going to the game, it's going to be nice. Miami may have some trouble getting out of Tallahassee. Hopefully they'll come out of Tallahassee without winning that game, because we want FSU to win, but they may have some trouble flying out if they're flying on Wednesday in the severe weather. But if you're going to the game, it's going to be nice. You're going to be walking in mild temperatures and light winds, so you might not even need a jacket on Tuesday. But if you look at your future radar, you can see the winds are changing a little bit of direction, becoming more easterly. You start getting the clouds in tomorrow evening along the warm front ahead of the cold front, which sets us up for the severe weather potential on Wednesday. But for our women's basketball game, we're playing at Notre Dame. And Notre Dame's in Indiana, and they're going to have some snow. This is the same system that's going to give severe weather to the southeast. It is a large low-pressure system, and they're going to get snow up in that part of the country from this system. So if you're going to be up there, you may have to worry about that. Our track and field team is playing at the University of Arkansas on Friday, and they're going to have a chilly race on Friday. The cold front is going to make the entire southeastern U.S. be below average, and it's going to be windy on top of that. They're going to have gusts up to 30 miles an hour. Our men's swim and diving team, we're playing indoors, so they're not going to have to worry about this, but if you're walking to that game, it's going to be chilly, and you might need a jacket on Friday. It's going to be well below average on Friday with chilly, dry air. Our men's tennis, we're playing San Diego. I don't know why we're playing this match in Texas. It has to be in a tournament. But it's going to be 61 degrees under mostly cloudy conditions there, and you may still have breezy conditions even in Texas from this front because it's such a strong front. And if you're going to be spending some time in Waco, Texas for this match, it's going to be chilly and rainy tomorrow, so that's the day you want to avoid being outside. Sunday, we've got a game against Duke in women's basketball, but it should be nice for that. But what we do have to worry about is the severe weather potential on Wednesday, and then some more rain on Sunday and Monday in the area as it warms up. But now I'm going to pass things off to Caitlin.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nico. Across the board for most of the nation, we're looking at temperatures right on average, and that's going to change as that frontal system moves through, bringing lots and lots of colder air. But it's looking really nice across most of the states. You're feeling those temperatures you typically feel where you live. So if you're in Denver and you're like, it's 24 degrees, that's cold for us Floridians, but for people in Denver, they're like, oh, this is totally typical for January. And weirdly enough, everywhere is dry across most of our country right now. We're sitting really low dew points except for those in South Florida. They tend to be that way. They tend to stay more muggy than everybody else. But really dry across much of the United States, and there's not a lot of rain happening right now. But that is going to change as we go into tomorrow and Wednesday, as we've been talking about that severe weather threat. Upper letter water vapor is just showing a couple of clouds, a little bit of moisture that's going to keep building and growing into those storms that it's going to sweep through the southeast and Arkansas and Oklahoma and places like that. You guys are going to be feeling those storms over the next couple of days. Our National Surface map showing that we do have not a lot going on right now for our Monday. Everywhere's looking really average, really dry, not a lot of showers really happening. So that's been kind of nice for our Mondays just to start our week. We've been talking about that storm outlook. So for today, like we said, not a lot going on for the storm-wise, and that's just for little parts of Texas. But as we go into tomorrow, so that's Tuesday, there will be a tornado risk, something to think about if you're living in Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. And then it's going to reach us here at home in Tallahassee, so that's also something you're going to have to be worried about. For tomorrow, we're going to be just in a non-severe risk and maybe a slight marginal risk, but when we go into day 3, that's when things are going to look a little different. Active alerts right now, there is a bunch of alerts because we are getting prepped for that. There's a winter storm happening out west, so something to think about. They've got a little bit of winter weather advisory with those like little bit of pressure systems that are moving through, and they've got some high winds too to think about. And then for our friends in the northeast, they have winter weather watches as well, so they're getting a little bit of snow and a little bit of mixed precipitation as well. Satellite radar showing those dry conditions, like we said, not much really happening across the area. It's that nice calm before the storm when they come in the next couple of days. Just that little bit of snow happening in the west, but that's going to change. Here's another closer look at that snow that's happening over there across most of the parts of the west. Those are just going to, that's where that winter watch advisory is, so it's just something to think about if you're living over there. There's a little bit of snow happening in the northeast as well for places like Boston. Nothing too severe. The severe weather is just something we're going to continue to talk about for tomorrow and the next day. Here's those rainfall forecasts that are going to increase because that system's going to move through, bring lots and lots of precipitation, tornado threats, wind threats to most of the southeast and parts of like the central United States. Temperatures tonight, as everyone's making plans, we are going to be sitting pretty chilly for most of the country. Everywhere kind of below freezing for majority of us, and even us here in Tallahassee in Florida, we're sitting close to those freezing temperatures. In your forecast for tomorrow, temperatures are going to be mild, still right on average as those storms start to pick up and the convection starts to happen. But we're going to be looking at some pretty mild conditions and pretty close to average from where you live as you make your plans for tomorrow. But I'm going to pass things off to Spencer. He's going to talk about the America of the Wonder Weatherful.
Thank you, Caitlin. So this is a new segment we are trying here at FSU Weather where we are going to be highlighting a specific weather event in a specific state, something kind of historic. It's just looking almost like a today in history for America's weather. So today we are looking at South Dakota, our spotlight state. So this might be a little hard for you guys to see here on the screen, but on January 22nd, 1943, so just one day off, in the Black Hills region in South Dakota, the temperature actually changed about 49 degrees in just around 2 minutes. That's an insane, I think it holds the record actually for the sharpest temperature drop in that span of time. And it was really crazy to see this because many cars actually began to get frost on their windows and on their windshields just from the temperature change between a warm patch and a cold patch of air, but we're going to get into that in just a sec. So what happened on this day? So like I said, the Black Hills region can experience significant temperature variations on a day-to-day, we call it diurnal schedule, and this can lead to some really intense temperature gradients. And this can happen very rapidly, like I said, in just a few minutes, and we can see these really intense warming Chinook winds. And other temperature differences can be caused by an inversion, which is essentially, typically the atmosphere decreases in temperature with height, but an inversion is where the temperature increases with altitude, and it helps keep a layer of stable air at the surface. So here is a newspaper clipping from the time where you can see cold wave in hills broken, Chinook runs mercury ragged in Rapid City. Just an interesting little diagram there cut out. And here's a diagram where you can see the path the Chinook winds took. You can see they really spearheaded right from Spearfish directly to Rapid City, where those temperatures, they sure did change quite rapidly. So how does a Chinook wind happen? So essentially you have prevailing winds which are making their way from the west coast up over the mountains. In this case, imagine these are the Rocky Mountains. So imagine you have air flowing over the Rocky Mountains, and once they get to the top, they're going to start to make their way back down toward the surface. Now what happens is, as this kind of pocket of air moves its way down the mountain, the pressure starts to increase. So you're going to have more and more force applied on that little parcel of air, just because there's now more air above it because you're at a lower elevation. So what this causes is that this causes the air pocket, that air parcel, to warm up a good bit. So that's what happens is, as this patch of air makes its way down the mountain, it warms up a good bit. So once it gets to places like Rapid City, you have this pocket of intense warm air, which can lead to very, very rapid temperature changes like we saw with these Chinook winds. So taking it back to the present, you can see here, not too much, as Caitlin mentioned, it is fairly dry across most of the country. Just some cloud cover here, some little bit of action we can see out in New Mexico around the Four Corners region. And zooming in on South Dakota, for today you can see not much. It actually looks like the whole state's pretty much being avoided by any clouds, but we do have some snow making its way in through the upper Midwest. Here is another snow forecast. So you can see a couple of inches of snow generally across the northern plains and into the northern Midwest, even out into the western states like Montana and Colorado. And for tonight's forecast, it'll be quite chilly out in South Dakota, as you might expect. 27 degrees with a chance of snow and a southwesterly wind at about 8 to 13 miles an hour. And if you are in Spearfish, South Dakota, you can expect for the next few days some temperatures around the 30s and the 40s with a high temperature range and a low temperature range of the mid-20s to the low 30s. So we're going to be passing things off to Isabel with a look at our next segment.
So I'm going to take a step out of South Dakota and start looking at Tallahassee weather. I'm calling all Florida State students and all Tallahassee locals because I'm going to tell you what's going to affect your lifestyle and your day-to-day life. So if you're a Florida State student, I recommend going down to the Res. It's a beautiful sunset right now. You can rent kayaks, and it's a beautiful temperature at 57 degrees, so I'd wear a jacket when you do those sort of boating activities. So the current temperatures right now, as I said earlier, beautiful skies and temperatures cooling down to about the mid-50s. That's what we are seeing all throughout this area. So if you're traveling locally and are planning to be outside, I'd take a jacket, but you won't be seeing any temperature variations during this time. So another look at the dew point. These dew points are a lot lower than the temperatures here in Tallahassee, so that is what's going to cause that super dry air in the area that I was talking about earlier from the continental U.S. Super dry temperatures right now with these dew points. So if you want to stargaze tonight is going to be a perfect night. It is completely clear skies. It's going to be a waxing crescent, so it's going to be a beautiful moon, not quite full yet. And the conditions are very good to view those stars tonight. We are going to also see an early sunset at 6 o'clock. The sun is setting already, so get out there. There's going to be lots of hours for you to view those stars this evening. So it's going to get colder throughout the night as we would expect. It's going to start in a couple hours at 45 degrees, get a little bit cooler to 40 degrees. So if you're going to be out for long periods of time, make sure you bring layers to put on as the night progresses. If you're going to plan on studying tonight, it is going to be very chilly in Stosier, as it always is, 58 degrees. Bring a jacket, bring a blanket. It gets freezing in there. Airport delays. We are not going to experience any delays in Tallahassee, so that's amazing. If you have to catch a flight tonight, you're going to have no problems doing that. Same thing, no delays, but I do pity you if you're going to Denver. It's a beautiful place, but it is 24 degrees. That is very freezing. Looking at the marine forecast, the temperatures are pretty good. It's 68 degrees. Not quite a beautiful beach day temperature. 60-degree water is pretty chilly, but it should be beautiful if you want to bring a jacket and have a little picnic on the beach. Tomorrow's bikecast, it's going to be a little chilly. I would probably go towards 3 p.m. because that could be bearable. That wind chill is going to be pretty cold for that time. And tomorrow's forecast is 66 degrees and thunderstorms, but now I'm going to pass it off to Nicholas to conclude our show.
So yeah, we're just going to take a final look at we're going to take a final look at Tallahassee right now, and so I think I skipped. There we go. Live look at Doak. Beautiful sunset right here. Look at these colors, these dark blues and violets. It's actually an amazing time to go out and see the sunset. I wish I was out there right now enjoying it. And looking at our current temperatures, it's going to be quite a bit chilly, but it's going to be a clear night. So after you see the sunset, it might be a great time to go see the stars. 55 here in Tallahassee, and it's going to be mostly in the mid-50s for the Big Bend region. And our wind speeds mostly coming from the north, relatively calm, especially in Thomasville and Valdosta, and winds picking up a little bit closer to the coast in Apalachicola at 8 miles per hour. As for our current radar, there's absolutely nothing in terms of precipitation right now, just a bit of clutter right here from the radar. But it's going to be, as I said, a very, very clear night, great for stargazing and great for watching the sunset. Our future radar, for the time being, up until Tuesday, there is going to be not that much activity, but Wednesday is when that storm system that I had talked about earlier is going to start passing through. Around late in the afternoon on Tuesday is when those clouds will start to arrive. Not any sort of precipitation yet. That will come a little bit later on Wednesday, and that's when severe weather will make its way through. As you can see here, the wind will be coming from the east and the south as that that low pressure system approaches. As for tonight in Tallahassee, 36 degrees, partly cloudy. It's going to be a little bit chillier than what we are used to, but it's still going to be a very, very nice night with light winds from the southwest. Tonight's forecast for the rest of the Big Bend, very similar temperatures, upper 30s and lower 40s for the Big Bend, relatively cooler than what we are used to. And for our dog walk forecast for tomorrow, early in the morning, it's going to be pretty cold, 37, slight increase at 9 a.m. at 41, and then at 11, it will go up to 53 degrees. So it's going to be a relatively cool day, as you can see in the hour-by-hour. Temperatures only going up to 59 in the afternoon. So it's going to be a really cool day, maybe to put on a couple layers, a sweater or two. And as for a look at the week ahead, tomorrow is going to be a nice night. The rest of the week on Wednesday is when you have to watch out for that severe weather, and then there will be showers again in the afternoon, in the weekend ahead. Now I'm going to pass it over to Spencer to close out our show.
Thank you, Nico. So I know it's sad we've come to the end of our show tonight, but we've had quite an interesting show. We did get to debut our new segment, America the Weatherful. As well, we've had some interesting weather going on here in Tallahassee the past few days. We did have a cold front come through, I believe, just yesterday. So if you were in town yesterday, you might have noticed the past 2 days we got quite a bit of rain, especially considering we're in a drought at this time right now. So that rain was all due to the cold front, which is why we have some cooler temperatures today. As well, we do have another system which is going to be making its way through our area later in this week, which is why we are going to see some even drier and even cooler conditions pushing the freezing boundary. But like it's been mentioned, you shouldn't need to be worrying too much about your plants or your pipes. It's not going to be quite as cold as we saw around Christmas time with almost record-breaking cold temperatures here. But other than that, we really do hope you guys have enjoyed our show, our first Monday show back for the new year and for the new semester. So if you enjoyed our show, please feel free to follow us on our socials at FSU Weather on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and really anywhere you can find yourself spending time online, you can find us. And if you go to youtube.com/FSU Weather, you can go back and watch any of our shows from last year, last semester, last whenever. You guys have totally up to you to choose whatever shows you want to watch. And again, I am student meteorologist Spencer Blum, reporting live from the EOAS building. We hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday evening. And here's 7-day. You can help plan out your week. You can see temperatures mainly in the 50s and 60s and poking up into the 70s possibly by next Monday, with temperatures around lows in the 30s and possibly even up to the 50s. Again, we hope you guys have a great rest of your evening.